SpongeBob suddenly grew a mean-looking face on his back. But when the mean face was finally removed, it ended up taking control of his grandma instead. That day, SpongeBob had plans to hang out with Patrick. He got in line early for the bus, but someone cut in front of him, and he missed the chance to ride with Patrick. Reluctantly, he let Patrick go ahead. Just then, Sandy needed his help with an experiment, and as soon as that was done, Mr. Crab came asking for help too. By the time he finished everything, Patrick had already gone home. SpongeBob lay in bed, feeling sad and wondering if he was just too easy to take advantage of. At that moment, Gary brought him a mean face sticker. The second SpongeBob put it on, he became sharp-tongued and rude. Anyone who spoke to him got snapped back at, and he even yelled at his grandma, mocking her for not knowing how to cross the street. When he went to the Krusty Krab and Mr. Crab asked him to work a 17-hour shift, he demanded overtime pay instead. When Sandy showed off her latest invention, he slapped it out of her hands. Gradually, SpongeBob realized the mean face let him say no to everyone, but it also alienated all his friends. By the time he came to his senses, it was too late. Everyone in Bikini Bottom hated him. Desperate, he went back to Sandy. Luckily, she managed to tear the mean face off and mailed it away. Meanwhile, SpongeBob rushed to apologize to his grandma, but when she turned around, he was horrified to see that the mean face had grown on her instead. Did you know that Mr. Krabs' mom is even stingier than he is? She insists that Mr. Krabs can only change the oil once every 3 years. And the most ridiculous part? She also forbids him from putting any paper towels in the bathroom. Even Squidward's work attitude got criticized by her. It turns out today was Bring Your Mom to Work Day. The three of them brought their moms to the restaurant to help out. SpongeBob's mom wanted to split the burgers apart while cooking them. Everyone objected, but surprisingly, the burgers turned out to be incredibly delicious that way. SpongeBob proudly presented his signature burger, only to be met with complaints from customers saying, "It doesn't taste like Mom's at all." People demanded a refund from Mr.
You see, there is love here. My love for your money. You don't want to break us up, do you?
At the critical moment, all three moms agreed. Their kids weren't capable of running a restaurant, so the Krusty Krab was officially taken over by the moms. Mr. Krabs tried to protest, but he was shoved into a corner to reflect on his mistakes. Each mom took charge of her own area, providing meticulous service, and customers kept pouring in. Every customer left satisfied, and the three moms earned a year's worth of income in just one day. Meanwhile, SpongeBob and the others were enjoying motherly love in the basement. Playing games, having pillow fights, throwing darts, calling out Mom, and instantly getting snacks and drinks, relishing a carefree return to childhood joy. SpongeBob thought he could finally retire, only to find the restaurant filled with lazy men doing nothing. That's when he remembered. It was Bring Your Dad to Work Day.
Oh, while you're up, son, could you refill my drink?
And more chips for me, kid. Anytime you're ready with that Krabby Patty, son.
Perhaps this is a true reflection of many modern families. Do you know what would happen if Patrick had a nose? It turns out that Patrick was really jealous of SpongeBob and Squidward because they both had noses. So he decided to get plastic surgery and gave himself a nose. Patrick was thrilled with his new nose. He could smell the sweet aroma of cake and even the lovely scent of perfume, which made him really happy. But soon after, he came across some rotten onion rings, and the awful smell nearly scared him to death. Just then, the trash can next to him started attacking him, and Patrick, terrified, ran back home in a panic. Once at home, before he could relax, he smelled something awful again. It was then that he realized how dirty his house actually was. So, Patrick started cleaning up, but the stench seemed to be everywhere, especially Squidward's moldy cheese.
That's better.
And SpongeBob's sweat dripping everywhere. Patrick even went as far as sealing up the holes on SpongeBob's body. He also rushed to the Krusty Krab, using candles and perfume to clean up the restaurant. The customers were all chased away. Mr. Krabs was furious, but Patrick thought the restaurant smelled awful anyway. To stop Patrick, they gathered every stinky sock in Bikini Bottom and placed them next to his rock house. Patrick's nose slowly began to shrink, and eventually, it disappeared. Patrick completely lost it, crying as he ran away. To comfort him, they put up a gravestone for his lost nose.
Who cares? At least now that pink moron will leave us alone.
I heard that.
SpongeBob was busy making Krabby Patties when a health inspector barged into the restaurant. Using a scanner, the inspector checked everyone and came to a shocking conclusion. One person was infected with a highly contagious virus. The inspector immediately locked down the entire restaurant, sending everyone into a panic. Squidward, nervously scrubbing himself with a brush, tried to stay clean. Mr. Krabs hid in his office, while Plankton managed to sneak out of a soda bottle using his small size, only to be quickly eliminated by the quarantine robot. To figure out who was infected, Mr. Krabs began checking everyone one by one. Squidward, anxious, accidentally knocked over the pepper shaker, sending a cloud of pepper into SpongeBob's nose, causing him to sneeze. Panic spread throughout the restaurant. To prevent the virus from spreading, SpongeBob volunteered to lock himself in the freezer. From inside the freezer, loud, painful noises were heard. But in reality, SpongeBob was happily skiing and eating an endless supply of ice cream. Seeing this, Patrick decided he wanted some ice cream too. He pretended to be infected and eventually got locked in the freezer with SpongeBob, where they began an epic ice cream battle. By now, only 4 people were left in the restaurant. Squidward, feeling a slight itch on his skin, was mistakenly thought to be infected with the flu and was sent to the freezer. The tension continued to rise as the 3 remaining survivors feared they might be infected. Mrs. Puff yawned, and Mr. Krabs immediately locked her in the freezer. Pearl was suspected of having the flu after paying back some money and was also sent to the freezer despite her protests. Inside the freezer, the group finally realized that no one was actually infected. The only one who had the virus was Mr. Krabs. They decided to capture the real infected person and charge out of the freezer. Mr. Krabs, terrified, hid under a table only to fall into the sewer. Squidward tried to grab him but fell in as well, both of them covered in filth. Mr. Krabs, unwilling to be caught, struggled to escape, and chaos ensued. More people were covered in dirt as the fight escalated. After a fierce struggle, Mrs. Puff finally tossed Mr. Krabs into the trash bin. The situation quickly spiraled out of control and the brawl lasted all day. Just then, the health inspector inspector opened the door and saw the chaos, guilt written all over his face. It turned out that he had made a mistake with the test kit the day before. There was never a virus at all, but by then, it was too late. Squidward's tentacles were covered in boils. SpongeBob had become even more hideous. Mrs. Puff was buried under a pile of trash. Patrick caught bronchitis, and Pearl's nose was leaking pus. And Mr. Krabs was the worst. His body was beginning to rot. Terrified, the health inspector ran out of the restaurant, deciding to quarantine the entire Krusty Krab. Patrick's head was pierced by a laser, and his brain fell out, only to bounce straight into SpongeBob's body. Turning around, SpongeBob couldn't find Gary. Gary had been distracted by the toy above, climbed up, and seemed to have found his new favorite thing. Gary fell from above, landing right on top of SpongeBob. When they got home, Gary's attention was completely fixated on that ball. That night, SpongeBob caught Gary dating the toy. Clearly, his presence interrupted their private time. Even when SpongeBob opened some food, Gary wasn't interested at all. SpongeBob realized something was off with Gary, and he was shocked by his behavior. Unable to take it anymore, he decided to confiscate Gary's ball, putting it up on the shelf before heading to bed. The next morning, SpongeBob found that Gary had gone missing again. He finally found Gary on the ceiling. Gary had clearly gone crazy, completely ignoring SpongeBob. SpongeBob had had enough and forcibly pried Gary off the ceiling. For the ball, Gary even bit him, not caring at all. Maybe leaving was the best thing for Gary. Even though SpongeBob had left, Gary didn't care at all. That night, Gary got hungry, finally remembering how good SpongeBob had been and deciding to find him. But that little ball kept getting in his way, and it was driving him crazy. Gary tried to put the ball in the juicer, but the ball shot out immediately, starting to destroy SpongeBob's house. When the ball finally stopped bothering him, Gary went out to find SpongeBob. Although SpongeBob pretended not to care, he softened when Gary apologized. Now, SpongeBob has no home. What should he do? What would happen if SpongeBob didn't live in a pineapple? Then the opening line would be,
Oh, who lives in a banana under the sea?
One day, SpongeBob was cleaning the barnacles off his pineapple house, while Squidward was deeply focused on creating his latest piece of art. Suddenly, a piece of barnacle flew off, startling Squidward, and he saw his artwork ruined. Furious, Squidward decided to get revenge on SpongeBob and tried to figure out a way to drive him away. He snuck into the pineapple house and sprinkled pepper all over the floor, hoping to chase SpongeBob out. Unfortunately, the pepper ended up all over Squidward instead. The noise woke Gary, who sensed an intruder and started attacking Squidward. The next day, the room was covered in pepper, making SpongeBob sneeze non-stop. When he came out, he was covered in bruises. Squidward pretended to be concerned, telling SpongeBob he was allergic to pineapples and urging him to move out. Then he continued sprinkling pepper on SpongeBob, but SpongeBob had already grown attached to the pineapple house. For his own survival, he had to move, and Squidward accompanied him to help find a new place. This was the first option.
Oh, who lives in a hot pepper under the sea?
SpongeBob didn't like it. Then came the third option.
Oh, who lives in a chicken parmesan hero under the sea?
But SpongeBob worried he might get fat. Eventually, he found a house that looked nice, only to realize it was actually a coffin. Squidward told him there was only one choice left. Although the house looked old, its interior was futuristic and amazing. SpongeBob loved it. Squidward liked it too, but he told SpongeBob that it was too far from Bikini Bottom and convinced him to move into Squidward's old house instead. SpongeBob happily agreed. That night, Squidward began enjoying his new life, experiencing the smart home system. He set the alarm and drifted into a deep sleep. Suddenly, the alarm went off, waking him up. He realized, too late, that it wasn't a normal alarm. It was a countdown for a rocket launch. The house transformed into a rocket, blasted into space, then returned to Earth, landing back in Bikini Bottom. Having lost his home, Squidward wanted to return to his original house, only to find it had been replaced by a pineapple house. Just as Squidward tried to move into SpongeBob's old pineapple house, he discovered Patrick had taken it over. With nowhere else to go, Squidward had no choice but to move into Patrick's rock house.